Of course the settings got reset. Also, the video's all out. What is going on here, Maude? What's going on here? And it's low. Beep. There's the dog. There's me. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Maude's Book Club. Sorry I'm a little late. Holy dooly. I got to join back into the chat here as well. Oh, she's in.
There she is.
She's in. Oh, hey. Woo-wee. Yeah, very last minute for this one. Show of hands if you have not finished the book or raced to finish the book or finished in the nick of time. Jimmy, you finished it this morning. Jay Buntrock, when did you finish? Plenty of time.
I finished last night.
Whew, okay. We're really coming down to the finish line with this one, aren't we? Lisa, when did you finish?
I finished it yesterday.
Okay. That's pretty good. How you going with Iron Flame?
No, sorry, Sunday. I finished it Sunday. I spent all day listening to it.
How did you like the narrators? Because I had to stop listening to it.
Yeah, it was troublesome, but that was the only way I was going to finish. So
True. That was hard. I had gripes. The fact that I had to stop listening to it, I could no longer listen to. I could listen to Darrow and Ephraim's chapters. I could not listen to Lysander's and Lyria's chapters still. So every time it was like chapter 42, Lysander, I'm like, nope, stop. Anyway, I've been listening to Court of Thorn and Roses, the second book already. I've been diving back into that, and whoo, that's a fun place to dabble. How is everyone? Yeah, I love it. How is everyone going? How are we all going with championing? KB Dubs, are you sitting there in the dark? Nice. Look at that. The merch hoodie arrived though. Oh, it's your Christmas tree that's illuminated behind you. That looked beautiful. I love how you've decorated all festive. Hoodie looks great. Anyone else got their merch yet? Cool. Apparently the merch tier likes KP Dubs the most. There's favoritism. Outstanding favoritism happening there. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Maude's Book Club. If you don't know, we've got 3 tiers on Patreon, where you can support Maude's Book Club. We are a team of 4 wonderful women trying to carve out a fun little place of sci-fi and fantasy online where we cover at least a book a month. With that, we've got 3 tiers. $5 unlocks the Discord for you, gives you double entries for giveaways that we do pretty much every month, if not more. We have merch. We've got a site. We've got a brand new website that launched. Actually not that brand new anymore, but I still love it. We've got Amanda who runs the website and makes site content, does reviews, makes sure that we've got listicles coming up. We're covering the best of 2023 when it comes to sci-fi and fantasy. We've got Tass, who is our community manager, who keeps me in check every single day. She's looking after all the Patreon needs. She's moderating the chats. She's helping community members. She's helping the schedule. We locked in the first 4 or 5 months for 2024. Can I get a hell yeah for that? Maybe a golf clap, whoever can find it fastest. I got to raise the roof from Robin. Purple hair's looking good. Did you dye it again?
Hello, what have we here?
It looks more vibrant.
It's probably because it's just dirty.
We love that. So's mine. It's also looking purple because it's so dirty. Hello, Will Poss there in the chat saying woot woot. Thank you so much for being a member. City is a new member in the chat as well. Says, funnily enough, Darrow and Ephraim are the only 2 voice actors who stay on for Dark Age. Meaning the other 2 got fucking fired is my guess. I don't have the tea on all of that. I did notice that Lysander, the voice actor in Dark Age, sounded a little older and also butchered the pronunciation of Cassius, calling him Cassius. Always something. 2 steps forward, Cassius steps back. Now, does that mean that Cassius is alive, or is he just talking about him in a past tense? I won't spoil diddly dick, but I will say that word drove me nuts. I have read Iron Gold before. I read it about 5 months ago when Lightbringer came out. I was going on the press tour. I did a Q&A, or I was at a Q&A about Lightbringer, this book here. And I didn't want to have anything spoiled for me. So I tried to read as much as those 2 books as I could. Turns out there were no spoilers. I just raced through half listening to these books to try and get as much done as possible. Turns out I didn't really listen to a whole lot, and I'm really glad I read it for the second time because I liked it better the second time. There is a little, he sounds a lot older, K. Frito. You're not wrong. The new actor is I'm a man all of a sudden. I couldn't understand Lysander half the time, but I did have to listen to it at about 2 times, says Colleen. Tell me about that. Did you have to increase, decrease for each voice actor? Because I know that Lyria spoke so fast.
Yeah, I was trying to play it at almost double time because I was trying to finish it and I was driving, so I couldn't stop and change the speed. And I could understand everyone but Lysander. It was just, blah, 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 I mean, it made no sense to me at all.
Well said. It was blah, blah, blah. It felt like a waiter who had been at the same establishment for 17 years and never got a pay increase, and he's reading you off the specials like he would rather be anywhere else. That's what Lysander's voice actor sounded like. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Here are the specials. We have the beef filet mignon, which if you like it, fantastic. I recommend it in medium. On the menu, we have a halibut, which is fish. KPW says, wow, this is tragic because I enjoyed reading his parts. This is why we read as well. I love audiobooks. I've finished my 83rd book today because of audiobooks. City says, my Lysander take is that he's reading a shopping list, just totally bored. Now, this is a character who's 20 years old, whose grandmother was the sovereign, who ran an entire rim, who was in such power, who's been raised to be the next king. He saw all the people that he loved get murdered in front of him. The person who betrayed his grandmother is now his rescuer and, in a way, mentor. So much has happened, and the voice actor could give 3 shits about it. So it was such a detriment to the character because you're right. When I read them, the whole thing was amazing. Unfortunately, like his very predictable speech pattern was kind of locked in my head a little bit, which sucks. But again, shout out to Tim Reynolds. There's another word in there. Tim something Reynolds. I will never. Why doesn't it sink in? Tim Gerard. Tim Gerard Reynolds, MVP, absolutely crushes it. I want to really get into Darrow's arc here because it is the epitome of despair. It is heart-wrenching. You've had a trilogy where things go his way or he's 2 steps ahead, and that is not the case here. It is truly tragic, says Vaden. You're not wrong at all. Hey, T-Bone. Wally Weir says, imagine on these audiobooks that they have a director-producer supervising the recordings. I'm not entirely sure. I know that they had to audition for it, and Lyria's voice actor crushed the audition, but they were just a bit disappointed with how it ended up turning out. I wonder if they just get the book and it's like, we need a chapter every 5 days. I'm not sure. I wish I would know more about that. Jesus Christ. Hold on. I have to... I have to take care. Maude, can we fuck that guy off into a different solar system? Fire him in a cannon and launch him into a different hemisphere, outer space. That was yay, I'm a woman on the internet. I just existed. Colleen says, tragic. I had trouble reading past Wulfgar's death. I kind of want to know a little bit about that. This happens in the first half of the book. We don't really know who Wulfgar is. He's a little bit of a Ragnar 2.0 shoehorning, I felt. But how is it that you kind of found a relationship with this character so quickly and his death kind of hitting so hard with that?
I think it was a combination of things. I was at a point where I was kind of struggling with a little bit of depression anyway, and world events were, really getting to me. And then it wasn't just Wulfgar dying, it was the fact that Darrow killed him and he'd been a friend. It was like, I didn't know him, but you just killed a friend and a supporter.
Right.
And, that's the end. Your life's going down from here.
Yeah, it was the beginning of the end. You're right. Like, if he's willing to do that. And it was him kind of being above the law and you do as I say, not as I do. Your rules don't apply to me. I know better. It is a whole lot of that. And it worked for him in his 20s, but it's a whole different ball game. His wife's the sovereign now, So that was a little bit, you're right, that was a bit tricky. I get you there. I'm reading the chat. KPW says Darrow was trying for non-lethal combat when Severo stepped in. It threw off Darrow's swing and it landed lethally. So the intent wasn't there to kill. KPW, I think you're unmuted. And if you're eating dinner, I can hear the cutlery. What are you eating? I want to know now. I had lunch like 5 hours
I
ago.
am drinking some coffee because it's been a long 2 weeks and I'm super tired.
Do you want to talk about it?
Not really.
Fair.
I work retail, Black Friday. You guys all got it.
Oh, how many steps? 20,000? Did you hit 20,000?
It was 20, but there's a part of my job where I stand in one place on the computer when there's really, really busy.
Yeah.
Those 20,000 don't include the 4 hours I was standing in one place doing computer work.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, a shout out to all retailers who worked during Black Friday and not Cyber Monday, because I guess that's all the online sales, right? But still, well done. The unsung heroes. There it is. And if you play a support character in a video game, unsung hero, no one thanks you. There's just an expectation that you'll keep them alive. It's a privilege that I get to keep them alive, And the other unsung hero, Vaden, you can attest to this. The DM for Dungeons and Dragons. The DM is a very thankless job where you put in a lot of hours, a lot of hard hours. And everyone goes, thanks, that was a lot of fun. Chapter 56, Lysander, Tim just showed us. What? Oh, because it's like, But you're reading it. It's fine when you're reading it. Do you want me to tell you what happens?
I'm still that far away from finishing.
Do you want me to tell you what happens?
No. It's probably going to come out in the course of the
100%. Shit's going
anyway,
down in
so
chapter 56 and onwards. Shit goes
I can wait.
down.
It's fine. It's fine.
I could just catch you up real quick. TLDR.
No, I know you can, but it's fine.
Okay, well, I'll let you know when we're about to go into the spoiler territory so you can zip off, okay?
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, then I'm going to... Welcome to Spoiler City. Population, you... Thumbs up. I got a thumbs up about that. Because we have finished... Hold on. Asian Ice Boy, bugger off. Did we kill him? Block him? Whoops. We're live. Kill the access? Good. What did everyone think of this book? Now, the community pretty much gave a resounding 5 stars for the first 3 books. And I don't think that's the case for this book. No, everyone's shaking their head. Except, I think you did, J Bunt Rock. You gave it a 5. I saw that. I saw that in Fable. If you have a phone and you can download free apps, download Fable. We have 2 book clubs on there, Maude's book club and Maude's bonus book club in case we do a second book. Fable's really fantastic because it has a chapter breakdown of every book. So you can read it, let's say you're up to chapter 56 and you actually finish it and shit goes down in that chapter. You can jump onto Fable and be like, oh my God, these are my thoughts of this particular moment. And as a community, we can kind of check in each chapter. Moore's Book Club streams, we check in at each half book. So twice a month. But you can also leave your review there. And so I've read some of the reviews already. J Bunt Rock says Iron Gold has a 4.24 on Goodreads. Jimmy gave it a 3.5. KP Dubs gave it a 4. Colleen gave it a 4. Darren said, hey, I liked it better. So he's actually a bigger fan of the 10-year time jump and the different points of view, which is fantastic. Lisa's given it a 4. I gave it a 4. But on Goodreads, you bet your butt it's going to say 5 because I'm earning friend points. But it was a 4 for me. Actually, the writing was better, this book. There was a huge increase in how he wrote. The verbiage, he's such a sucker for a fantastic metaphor. And similes, but like the descriptors, I actually think that the writing was impressive. Like it was good in the first 3. It was impressive in this one. I think that a lot of the times we review books on how it made us feel. This book isn't a hug. This book is not supposed to make us feel good. This book is where shit goes down, where people make mistakes, and there are consequences to those actions. Darrow was a little bit of Teflon in the first 3 books. The shit just didn't stick to him. He got through it all. This book, I think, is very well written, but it makes us uncomfortable because it's supposed to make us uncomfortable. Do we dock a point because of how this book has made us feel? Because it landed how it was supposed to make us feel, and he did a very good job in making it feel the way we were supposed to feel? Is it because sometimes we just need a palate cleanser and we need a book that makes us feel good? And we didn't get that with this book. Is it because there was too much of a difference between the first trilogy? It took too much of a leap in a different direction that we didn't enjoy as much? Was it because 2 of the voice actors sucked? What was it? If you gave it a 4, why did you dock it a star? What was it? Who wants to go first? Because I kind of want to hear from everyone on this. KP Dubs, you wrote a comment. You want to share it?
Sure. I just feel like this book didn't really have an ending. It just stopped. Like in the first trilogy, yes, you try to set book 1 up to set up book 2 and so on, but each one felt like you came to a closing point. You know, the first book ends at the end of the academy, the second book ends and so on. But this one, I just felt like they're in the middle of a bunch of stuff, and then they were just like, all right, we'll see you next book. We're all done.
I think it's interesting because he had an objective the whole time, and that was I'm going to disagree with where everything's headed because I know what's right. I know how to end this war once and for all. I'm going to find the Ash Lord and I'm going to kill him. I'm going to rescue this prisoner, absolve his army, negotiate with him to get access so we can go in and kill the Ash Lord, and then everything's done. And then they get there and it's not what it seems. So it's kind of like the cliffhanger, you know, I think Into the Spider-Verse is a great example of that, where I felt exactly the same way. I'm like, it wasn't a whole story. We didn't have an act 1, an act 2, and an act 3. We had a lead up to something, and then there was a reveal, and then it stopped. And you're like, the fact that I know that this is like the book 1 of the 4 to tell this particular story, I had a little bit more leniency with that. Nice mug. Did I like the fact that he put all his eggs in an Ash Lord basket and that basket was emaciated and burnt alive? Literally? No, I hated that. That was horrible. That's not how it was supposed to go. But I hear what you're saying in the fact that, you know, and scene. It's over. Colleen says, lots of cliffhangers. He made so many deals with the devil, and the devil's cashing in. Kay Frito said, look, it was the audio for me that docked a point. And I think that's a little unfair because Pierce's words were great. I think a performance you can rate on Audible. If it was like the story and the performance, I think the performance needs to be different. Can the performance affect the book? Absolutely 100%. Should the book be brought down because of a performance? No, I think you would have had a very different experience had you read it. So I think that's a little bit of that's a tough one. Robin says, I wish he would have just committed to all new characters. Like all of Darrow's chapters could have been Ronna or Holiday. Ooh, what do we think about that? Robin's like,
I see Baden like rolling his eyes. And I'm like, oh, he's gonna not agree with that one.
That was wrong. I was trying to think about. I was thinking about.
oh, Vaden, your internet is having a jittery jitsu. It's having a field day. You might have to reset the internet. And I saw your hand go up, and I know you got a point that you want to make with this, so I want to hear from you. But is it Spectrum?
It's Spectrum. I'll be right back.
Can I get a fuck Spectrum? I need 10 comments right now, back to back. Caps
Fuck
encouraged.
Spectrum.
Fuck Spectrum. Fuck Spectrum.
It's a trap!
I hit you, Spectrum. Thank you, Vader. Yep.
Is it better now?
We got some fuck Spectrums happening in the chat. Appreciate it. Nah, it's not better.
Execute Order 66.
Fuck Spectrum. Yeah, okay. I want to hear your point from that. Who else wants to talk about why they gave it a 4? Colleen? Yeah, let's go.
I kind of went by the way Goodreads says the scale isn't how good the book is, it's how much you liked it
Yeah.
on Goodreads. And so I kind of went by that because it's probably a 5-star book. I mean, it wouldn't have affected me the way it did if the writing wasn't so amazing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really an enjoyable read in a lot of ways.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And I think it's like when you have a book club and you're reading a really tough sort of like hard book, you've got to be in a headspace to be able to receive it. And I think if you're having a tough month or if the world is broken and, you know, nauseating with what's going on, it's just, you know, there's sickening things happening in the world. So to kind of like see that emulated in a fictional space version of it, it's really hard. And I will say the first half of this book, the events that happen for Lyria, that was really hard for me to read. It was way too on the nose. It was way too reflective of what's happening in today's society. And it's like, you know what? If it were any other time, I'd shut the book and be like, I'll come back to that. Not today. You know, that is not a today book. So I do really want to champion the fact, Colleen, that you stuck through it. I am thoroughly impressed by your commitment to the club. I know you've been having a real tough trot lately. And so I want to collectively give you a virtual hug and thank you because I think you're amazing. And I love your input always. You say fantastic. Am I getting choked up? Is that what that is? Anyway, I adore what you bring to the club. Oh, I am. I'm misty-eyed. Don't mind me. I just see you beaming at me, Colleen, and that makes me happy. I'm okay. I'm a grown woman. Thank you. KP Dub's dropping the Maude crying emote. Well, if we didn't do it this stream, I was due for a cry, I think. So there we go. Jimmy said, I feel it was excellently written, but I didn't like how it was not agreeable with the other parts of the previous books. Also, I felt like I lost interest almost towards the end. Tell me about that, Jimmy.
Hello. Okay. So, like I was saying, I was reading the book.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was like, okay, I get it. There's a different perspective. He's older now. He's got to do other things. Blah, blah, blah. All the usual rigmarole. But then, you know, like, as I was reading it, I was just like, I know that, like, it's like that saying that Caesar had. It's lonely on the top of Olympus. You know? It's just like you've got up there.
At what cost?
And it's boring. It's just like, you know, what are you going to do? You know, it's like, yeah, I'm the best guy. What, yeah, great. You know, like, what are you going to overcome? How are you going to better yourself? How are you going to do this? And he's stuck on the thing of murdering this one guy who thinks he's going to solve all of the problems and make him feel better. You know, it's like driving 5 miles to a McDonald's because you think that burger is so good.
And they
then
didn't
it
have
turns
the
out it's just like
McRib.
all the other McDonald's.
Yeah.
But you feel that that's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah. Okay. I think, and this is the tragedy of Darrow in this book. He truly believes that what he's doing is right, only to discover that none of it was. His best friends turned against him. His wife pretty much has turned against him. He's abandoned his son. Like, he's done so many things where you're just like, Darrow, like, if I were his mother, I'd pull him by the collar and give him a smack. You know, it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Pull your head in, mate. Pull your head in. I'm disappointed in you. This isn't you. Robin says, I feel like in 10 years, Darrow has learned nothing. Darrow learned that he was somewhat right and invincible. And that if he put his mind to it, then it was the right thing to do. And that has been the most horrific backlash for him. This is a pill that he needed to swallow, and it's stuck in his throat. He needs a good smack. Look, I don't encouraging mothers hitting anyone. But, you know, she was brought up in a mining colony, and I'm sure that that's how they rough them around the ears, you know, to get them back into line. That's an assumption. I'm making an assumption. I would not do that. I thought I would. Listen, I don't know what I would do. Does Darrow need a smack? Likely. Not that he would be able to feel it with his bone-grafted jaw. City has made some really great comments in the chat. City said, but really, a line like, and this is a spoiler at the end, so Tim, mute please. Nah. No, he whispers. And this is Romulus to his wife Dido, and this is such a beautiful moment. And it was read monotonely. It was read in a monotone without any emotion behind it. And this is the line of dialogue. No. Or it should be he whispers. So it's like, no. He whispers. This is not the end. I loved you before I even met you. I will love you until the sun dies. And when it does, I will love you in the darkness. Goodbye, wife. That was read like the menu. That is like a beautiful, fueled part of the book. If you don't do that justice, I mean, you just read it and you're like, wow, it's obviously there. And that's the difference between someone getting paid to read words and someone telling a story. You got to put a little acting in it. Jay Buntrock, you gave it 5 stars. Hit me with it. Oh, we don't have a book cover up. We certainly don't.
Yeah, I love that he brought in the changing perspectives, because Darrow's story, I thought at this point, was kind of formulaic. He's like, I'm going to make the tough decision. I'm going to alienate friends. I'm going to make a bad decision. Someone's going to betray me, which all happened. So I think if it was just that, or the same focus of the first 3 books, I don't think most people would have liked it as well, because they've seen that story 3 times before.
Mm.
And I thought, like, the Lyria's was really fascinating, the way that she basically said, well, if they're going to kill me, they're going to kill me. I'm going to go back to Mustang and tell her the truth and see what happens.
Now, we spoke about it last week, but for those that weren't here, I mean, not last week, 2 or 3 weeks ago, for those that weren't here for it, the points of view, I do appreciate it. And I remember Darren saying it was really interesting to see points of views from different colors. There's Lyria's red, Ephraim is gray. And it's just like interesting learning the scope of everything that's been happening. And, you know, you kind of see the trajectory of the story through different lens and different people. My initial discomfort with it was that I would have loved to have finally gone inside the heads of the characters that I actually loved. I'd love to have seen it from Cassius's perspective. I would have loved to have been in Severo's head and, you know, learn what a mongrel thinks, because that's what he is, you know, but to have that comedic relief from him, or even Victra. Like, I think Victra would have crushed in this book, learning as a pregnant woman, you know, not having Severo there, being completely disdained by how the Vox Populi is sort of like overthrowing a system here, that she followed Darrow not because he was a gold, but because she believed in him. But then now kind of is reverting back to gold being a little bit more of like a, you know, the top of the food chain again, which I found quite interesting. What it was like having her husband wearing Darrow's red eyes, you know, little things like that. Quicksilver could have been interesting in this particular one. I just to have brand new characters. Lyria we had never heard of before. Ephraim was mentioned by name only. And then of course, we knew Lysander, but he was just a kid before. What are everyone's thoughts about that? Do you think that Pierce made the right decision with who to use for the point of view? Tim says thumbs up. Colleen is nodding. J Bunt Rock says thumbs up. Jimmy looks like I'm asking my dog a question and she's kind of understanding, but she's like tilting her head a bit. Yeah. Who would Tim? You got a thought, and then Lisa, I want to hear from you.
I was going to say that I think Pierce made the right choice, and I'm not saying that like what you were saying is necessarily a bad idea, but for what Pierce wanted to do with this book and show the kind of dark side of rebellion and what happens after, having the point of view from characters that were active participants in it, like Severo or Cassius or Victra, or even Quicksilver, kind of puts a bias on it.
But I kind of like that.
Whereas you have like Lyria, I loved Lyria's chapters in this.
That's because you didn't listen to it.
It's true. But she's such an innocent bystander to all of it, right? She was living her life, really knew nothing about the atrocity, the slavery that she was in, and then she was pulled out of that and then just kind of left to her own devices with no real knowledge of how to survive
after being promised better
in this new paradigm, and promised all of these things that were ultimately not delivered. Ephraim obviously is very jaded and with the war effort, and then obviously witnessing Trig get killed. Is his whole story arc is just it's born out of
grief,
from incredible grief. So I think it was great that Pierce chose the characters he chose just to show that side from people that weren't necessarily as steeped in the rising as the others that we know and love.
Because we got that already. I like that. Yeah. Lisa, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I agree with him. That's kind of what I was thinking. Like, I really enjoyed the new perspectives that we got, and I think like that was probably part of my favorite parts of the book was Lyria and Ephraim's parts and their stories separately, and then how it kind of all came together. But I don't really. I mean, I would like the other perspectives of the older cast.
Give me Cassius. I want to be in Cassius's head. Just for
I didn't dislike having Darrow's perspective. I just disliked the things he was doing. So, I mean, it's not that I hated his perspective. I just didn't agree with the things that he did as his character. So that kind of made it not as enjoyable to listen to. But yeah, no, I think the perspectives were pretty spot on. I think he did a good job choosing what characters to follow.
A couple of things. I had thoughts during all of that. Of course, they just slipped on away. One of the big ones that I had reading this book, because we did get Lyria, the perspective of a red. We had his perspective of a red. The first book, and then we saw him transform into the gold. I wonder, since we are book 4 and the whole world building has been thoroughly established, we really haven't seen what it's like to be a violet. I don't even think we've seen a white, except for one of the ceremonies at the end of one of the books. We certainly don't really know any browns. In fact, a lot of the pinks were doing brown jobs, I thought, personally, in my opinion. We don't really have anything to do with yellows. We finally saw a green. She died. We don't really know about oranges except for the ones that were on the ships, and they were just basically a death toll. They were just a death count. Indispensable. Very dispensable on those ships. We've never really seen a copper there's so many that we haven't really gotten our hands dirty with. So I think one of the questions that I want to ask Pierce is there a facet, is there a particular color cast that he wanted to explore more but just didn't get the chance to in this pocket of his universe? Because like as a purple, as a violet, let's see how violets shine in this world, because I don't think they have much of a point otherwise, and that's a very sad thing for me.
We do get a brief copper moment at the beginning of this book with the senator guy who's a copper, but he's very neutral, which explains why Pierce hasn't dove into the coppers.
Mm-hmm.
If they're so neutral and they're really kind of the money handlers in a way, they're the accountants of this world. So
yeah, we've gotten the right at the top and right at the bottom, and that's kind of like the main ones. But I'm like, there's a lot else happening here. And if the whole thing is to kind of become a colorless society, what does that look like? Is there a way for these mid-tier colors to be able to aim up? Are they being given permission to actually dream big? I want to see that, you know. We saw it with Darrow going from a red to a gold, which is the biggest leap you can have. How did that inspire other people to live their best life? Yes, Vaden?
There was, I think they did mention that like Darrow and I guess they're trying to essentially make the colors, various colors, basically, you know, like grow up together. Instead of being separated and segregated from the beginning to the end, pretty much, they are having them grow up together so that they form those bonds early on and, you know, become friends, learn from each other, and, you know, and that kind of essentially racism.
I'm trying to say a word, but there you go. I was like, oh, I just need to know that I'm saying it in the right context. He wants to homogenize everyone, create likeness between people instead of, the separation and the stark contrast. I hope I said that right. I should have said it with confidence. I shouldn't have shown you me Googling it before and then going, and then saying it. That's all you have to do. I mean, I've done it so often. I've like known maybe 40% at best what that word meant. Maybe I heard it in a book once or twice, slid it into conversation with confidence. No one called me out on it, except once. The year was 2013. I went back to Australia for the first time after moving to LA. My word of the month was poignant. Fell in love with the word, decided to use it any chance I got. This guy was like a full bro bartender. And he was like, yo, you know, like, Maude, how you been? I heard you left. And I was like, yeah. He's like, what's it like over there? And I was like, it's quite poignant. And he's like, I don't think you use that word in the right context. And I was like, you? You're calling me out? I had you pinned or something. Anyway, don't judge a book by its cover. Even if people sound a little bit not smart, they can run circles around you. And that's it for Maude's story time. We were talking about the different points of view and why it's really important to kind of get the different viewscapes. Everyone was saying that Lyria is their favorite, except one. Vaden, why didn't you like Lyria?
Oh, yeah, I just found her. I didn't find her to be particularly interesting. Like
you listened to the book, yeah?
I listened to the book, but I don't think it was the narrative's fault in this case. Like, yeah, the narrative wasn't good, and for all the reasons people explained already. But basically, like, her story was very much paralleling like Darrow's. So I felt like we didn't get anything new from there really. Like, she's a rather red, she's a gamma red, so it's a little different. But like her story of growing up, having her life be destroyed, her family killed, was too much like Darrow's to me. And I'm like, okay, we didn't really learn anything new. Like, she just her life is. I mean, it's kind of an interesting way to see like how her life grew up. She grew up in Darrow's world with Darrow's, you know, society or Darrow's empire that he's trying to, and even the one he's trying to create, stories like his still happen. So, but obviously he hasn't succeeded yet. It's only been 10 years. Like, you can't expect, you know, Gold Society to crumble and everything to be solved in 10 years. Like, it takes to take, you know, hundreds of years probably to get a full resolution here. So
that's a good point though. It's Darrow 2.0, but it's, you know, from Lyria's point of view, I think the only big difference is that you would think that since they have a very similar story, she would look up to him and he would be a symbol of hope, where in fact she despises him.
Yeah, because she sees us like him as like being like is basically abandoning his kind.
That's
like,
it.
He thinks,
like when Pax said, didn't he say bloody damn? And she was like, I highlighted it. I have tabs in my book. And she said, that's not your word. And I thought that was quite out of character for Lyria, someone who's lost everything. I guess that actually makes sense now that I'm saying it out loud. Someone who's lost everything except her language, I guess. And the fact that she despises Pax, who hasn't suffered, who hasn't gone through absolute hell, who hasn't seen her relatives, killed in front of her. And he's sort of using her language. And she's like, you can't do that.
Yeah, it was a good moment in the book because like it showed that like because Max literally says he thinks he's a red or something, and it's like
he's
half red, and even then he has no experience as a red. Like he has not had any of the experiences that Lyria or any people or even Darrow's had, and like saying that you're a red when you essentially have half the blood and none of the actual experiences whatsoever.
All
just,
he lost.
Insulting.
All he lost was a foot of his height.
Yeah, and specifically, like Lyris is super frustrated with him in large part because she finds it to be like a thing that they do. Like it's something that people do. Which is like not just in this world but also in ours. Is that people will look at people who are essentially oppressed in some ways or minorities and be like, oh, I sympathize with them. That's that's nice, but like you can't be like, oh, I know what it's like to be like you because I have some small part of it. Like you can't think that you're the same as them when you haven't dealt with 1% of the adversity they have. It's just not a fair comparison.
It's like saying I've walked in your shoes and you look down and they're wearing golden slippers and you're like, no you haven't. Also I think like a moment where he kind of pitied her. She's like, I've survived so much, I don't need your pity right now. So that was a really brilliant moment. And I do want to go through, because we've only got an hour left, I do want to go through all the 4 storylines of what happened in part 3 and beyond. But Robin's brought up a really interesting point that I'd love to get to. Theodora was a really interesting character that I thought, sort of popped up in Golden Sun and is an advisor to Darrow. And what was really interesting about that is, what pinks are born and bred to do. She's actually grown out of that and has learnt so much, and he's using her knowledge to advise him. And that goes against sort of what the pinks are. And it also goes against the fact that he's choosing a different color over his peers being golds. So that was sort of like the start of intercolor aid, which we get more and more of. But then that character kind of like checks out. Like we don't really understand. I think her and Ragnar had a little fun, mayhaps. She got really sad when he passed, and then that was kind of her story. It was not even a secondary character, more like a third character. But Robin says, I need to know what happened to Theodora for her to be so okay with torturing Lyria. And I think that's a really great question. Why are you bringing back a character that hasn't had nearly enough substance for it to be in an instance that doesn't quite make sense? What we do know about Theodora is that she doesn't have kids of her own and cannot have children of her own. So what is it about Lyria needing information about where the Pax and Electra are, that she's okay to kind of take it to those levels? Is she also disappointed in Darrow, or is she seeing how he has defied the sovereign so many times that she's kind of leading in that steed? What is it? Has anyone got any ideas on that? It was such a blip in the book, but enough to stand out. Chat, I'll pass it down to you. Hold on. I have scrolled up so much. Tim says the Duke of Hands was also a pink. You're not wrong. K. Frito says Theodora could have been more in this book. I missed her. 10 years of war can change people. She was on a rescue mission. KP Dub says, oh, Pax has barely visited Mars, let alone life in the mines. Exactly. Colleen mentioned that to being cultural appropriation. Absolutely. Oh, what? Hello, Elf. I just saw you chat. That was lovely. Here it is. It's been a long time, but I still listen. Oh, that's lovely to have you here. Thank you. Okay, well, if no one's got thoughts on that, we can chat about it in the comments. Another comment that I liked was KP Dub saying, I loved all the POV choices except Darrow. Though I don't really know who would have been a better option to further the story. Severo? I think with Severo, though, you would see him try to course correct Darrow, being like, dude, you're losing your way. You're out of touch. You're blinded to sort of like what this is. I've got children at stake. You would also be able to use Severo to have that Victra point of view as well, because they would be talking. You have glimpses of those moments. I actually found the most disheartening part of all of this was how Darrow just didn't know how to be a dad. That part was like really hard. This guy, his shit didn't stink for 3 books. Like this guy could do no wrong. And now he struggles to even sort of like relate to his own child. That was really hard. Oh, that was a really hard chapter for me. And then when he finds out right at the end that his child's been kidnapped, he doesn't even go home. He like, how do you abandon someone even more than you have? I didn't even think it was possible. So for that, like, by the end of this book, I'm like, Darrow, you're a coward. Like, what are you running from? Commitment? A real life? Like, I feel like he's so disillusioned by ending a war that he's just stopped even living in the present. It's really hard to read. Robin said, inside of Cassius's head is a drunken mess. That also sucks. Like, this is a guy, I mean, you guys know that Cassius is my man. Cassius is my dude. So to hear him slurring his words and have his whole life sort of upended and not be where he thought he would be or where I think he deserved to be, that was really hard as well. Shit, there's some sucky things in this book, isn't there? This is just not fun. Vaden says Theodora was also pretty vicious in previous books. She was almost a terrorist until Darrow stopped her. Good point. Good point. The Ash Lord said there was no red left in Darrow. What do you think he meant by that, Colleen? There's no red left in you. He's basically become the thing that he was trying to destroy.
Well, he pointed out that he'd kept the eyes, he kept the sigils, the manner of speaking, but Darrow, I think, was so busy fighting for an ideal that was in his head that he'd lost touch with reality. He'd forgotten who he was. I mean, he thought he still knew, but I think in the end, even he acknowledges they're right, them now.
Well said. I'm catching up on chat. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm a little bit behind. Jay Bunt Rock says, I hope the final book in the series is called Rainbow Bright. The hope we all need. I don't know, Red God, though. Red God feels like it's getting back on track. I feel like that's good. The good things are going to happen. A while ago, we had a comment from City saying, if you weren't in a good place to read Iron Gold, I hate to say it, but Dark Age absolutely lives up to its name. So things are going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better. And that's why we haven't put it in, in the schedule for the next 5 months. I think it's going to be maybe a bonus book. I do love breaking down these books because they are so hearty. We have spent so long with them. It is really helpful to be able to check in halfway through. But at the same time, I noticed in this book that sort of like the excitement has waned and it's just a bit of a slog. It's quite tough to be in that headspace. And so we can think about doing it for a bonus book, and those that really, really want to read it, because it is big. We can not only be on the Fable to do chapter breakdowns, but we can do a stream as well to talk about all the shit that went down. But I don't want to subject people and force everyone to read a book. That's probably going to be really, really tough. So that's my 2 cents on the schedule. And if you do want to see an updated look on what that schedule is, I think we just posted it. Did you guys see it, the recent one? Yeah. Is it just members, or was that to everyone? I think it's just members. If you're a member, you get to see the schedule of like January to May. And Colleen, you want to do the third book from it's got Shala on the cover from Rebecca Roanhorse, that series we've been doing. I've been thoroughly enjoying those books. I really dig them. So that's for June, I believe, yeah? June.
If it comes, it's supposed to come out in June, I think. If it comes out in time, I think it'd be perfect for June.
And Colleen's a member plus, so her opinion has weight, just so you know. KB Dub says, oh, you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. Project confidence, and people will believe you even when you have no clue. I'm a retail manager. I know. I have a feeling you know a lot of things, KP Dubs.
I have a story about that. I'll tell you later.
After show story? Write it down so you don't forget. How do you read and listen to this chat? That's so impressive. Can you really do both? He's an engineer. Very well done. Okay, chat, let's get back into the conversation. J Bunt Rock said, in sticking with the theme of all new character perspectives, for the Darrow portion, it could have been Calloway. Now, Calloway, when Pax was talking, it was a bit of a throwaway moment that I was like, what? Wait a second. Pax was talking about, I kind of got in my head like a flash of pod racing came up where it's like, well, J Bunt Rock's like, yeah, where, you know, you've got famous racers who, you know, have reputation, people support these particular races, and Lyria was kind of going for one because, you know, she was true to her roots or whatever, but it was Pax that liked Calloway, or it was Lyria that liked Calloway? Pax liked Calloway. So it's like a conversation about sport, but it's about these pilot races. Turns out Calloway's in the cockpit with Darrow. And I was like, this guy's like famous, isn't he? Am I reading that right? That's what happened, yeah? This guy's like the best pilot in the galaxy. He's like top S-tier racer, and he's in Darrow's ship. And he's like smoking a burner. Like, yeah, this guy's just, he gets the job done. I just thought that was really interesting because Darrow is on like a really secret hidden retcon mission in a stolen ship that he got the okay to steal from Quicksilver, you know, where they rescued a guy who's supposed to be in sort of like the dark fortress of prison. And there's Calloway, is this famous pilot, famous racer. I thought that was really cool. But you're right. What would it look like? What would Darrow's chapters look like from Calloway's point of view? Because what would he be? He would be a blue, right? Or a violet. He would be mauve. Mauve.
But yeah, during the big battle, I think they mentioned it's only Calloway and 2 other pilots on Darrow's side, and they take out a whole fleet of the Ash Lord's fighters.
Because they're so good.
He's definitely a blue.
He's blue.
Because he syncs with the ship, and then since he was going to be in the Rip Wing, that's why Rona was on the guns, because he couldn't do the whole sync thing.
What? I wonder what it's like. Okay, so I have more questions about blues because the previous blues that we saw were all monotone and they could only really speak in sort of like a monotonal fashion. Did they go in a particular fleet? Is it kind of like not all golds go into the academy to become a peerless Scard? Is it the same sort of thing where like those that rise the ranks of like a blue academy, is it the cost of their personality? But other blues can like be more reckless and have fun and a personality. I don't know. These are questions. It's very interesting though. But yeah, like seeing that from Calloway's point of view, who's this famous racer who's kind of like left his life of fame and glory to do this full-on hidden retcon mission for a guy that he looks up to, because Darrow asked nicely. And again, it's like the idol, he's like questioning his decision as well. I mean, that would be quite interesting indeed. City says he sent those men to Mercury. He knows he's giving up on his son, but he knows that he has a greater responsibility. That's exactly it. He's like, because of an action that I made, 9 million people are going to die on Mercury, and I need to do something about it. And Severo's like, but what about your son? Like, you're just not going to rescue him? And it's like, oh, it just makes me feel sick in my gut, honestly. KP Dub says, if you step back and look at the situation, there may be times where the smarter, logical, strategic choice means to go somewhere else. That said, unless you are devoid of emotion, how do you make a choice based only on logic or strategy? Get to your family, man. The fact that he just was like, there's nothing my wife can't do that I could do. I'll leave it to her. And it's like, no. It's called support. It's called being there for someone when they're in the worst time of their life. It's someone who's going through something horrific. You step up and you be there for him. He's a shit husband and a shit dad. And now guess what? He's also shit at war, at winning them. Darrow shat the bed. Now he's a Brown. Robin says, Aunt Red's very much about family. Darrow completely left his family. He didn't even want his niece with him. You're right. Reds have incredible family values. When his father died, his uncle stepped up to be his father figure. That's all they have. They only have family. They're young parents as well. You know, they're having kids at 16 and they're having lots of kids. So you're right. I mean, yeah, that value's gone. And that's why he doesn't have any red left in him. Ashlord wasn't wrong. Vaden said, the Ashlord throwing Darrow's quote in his face was great. I would have lived in peace, but my enemies brought me war. City says, y'all are going to love Lightbringer. We love that. K. Fredo says, look, we need to finish the series. It could only get better, but it's going to get worse before it gets better, my dude. It's going to get worse. Everyone was saying that the fun book, the palette cleanser, this is why we have Dungeon Crawler Carl. You want a good time with outlandish things, even though it's getting a little bit more serious as well. Like, he's trying to bring down, he's kind of doing what Darrow's doing. He's trying to bring them down from the top down. He's trying to infiltrate and stop a system that's not working. Anyway, hype train for Dungeon Crawler Carl, says KP Dubs. We're talking about the schedule. KP Dub says Calloway was like Wes Jensen. The other one was Wedge. Me. Oh, Darren, thank you so much for 21 months. Also, Geek Ledger, thanks for the follow earlier. Tate the Aussie, you subscribed for 4 months in a row earlier. Lisa, thank you for 24 months. Happy 2 years. Ooh, we love that. KP Dubs, you gifted some subs earlier. Sorry, I missed that one. Mad Fancy Pants. Hey, it's Cam and J Tony all got gifted a sub. Thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. An hour later. K3 Dubs, thanks for using 100 bits. And Vaden, thank you for 37 months. 37 months. I mean, 37 months, like, the kid's grown up. It's not even a toddler anymore. Like, you don't use 37 months to measure anything. Like, what is 37 months? It's 12, 24, 36. It's 3 years and 1 month. Wow. Wow. Cool. KP Dub says, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. Kirk proved Spock wrong on that one. I like a little Star Trek quote. City says, wait. You want a palette cleanser and you went with Dungeon Crawler Carl? Dungeon Crawler Carl is laugh out loud funny. And also the best audio narration ever, hands down. Hey, you guys want to hear something fun? In 2 weeks, we're going to have Jeff Hayes on for a Q&A. Jeff Hayes is the... Oh my God, I'm going to show you what Robin's face did when I said that. Are you ready? God damn it, Donut, says KP Dubs. City says, I won't argue that the DCC audio being amazing. The apocalypse will be televised. Yeah. Jeff Hayes, who is from Soundbooth Audio, does an amazing job with different characters, bringing the books to life. Like, I would give the book a 6 because of the audio, you know? That's how good it is. We're going to get Jeff on. And for all the people reading the books, I'm going to get Jeff hopefully to do the characters' voices so that you can hear it and apply it to the book moving forward, so it's a better experience for you as well. Don't say I don't do anything for you guys. Excited for that one. Jeff, I think, watched Matt's Q&A as well, so he's been like really excited to get on the show. Yay! The Reputation of Maude's Book Club is doing well. Darren, you finished work and you've popped on in the Members Plus chat. You gave this book 5 stars and loved the direction that this book went. I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, I thought the additional characters brought a lot of life to it. And I think someone else mentioned it in the chat. I thought that it would have been cool if they had dumped the Darrow's chapters altogether and just had all completely new characters. I thought that would have been a cool take, but I could see why he didn't do that as a sort of a throwback to that. But the Darrow chapters were definitely the weakest of the perspectives, in my opinion.
Because it was just so unlike him, and we're seeing someone who got built up over 3 books just deteriorate, and that's really kind of hard to stomach. I initially thought you said lump Darrow's chapters all together, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, because like his story is not really impacted by any of the other stories. Like Lyria's,
it's not very connected
at all
at this point yet, at least. So, but that's part of why I liked Ephraim's and Lyria's chapters, because there was a lot of connections between the two, and all that. So, I'm curious where all those were going. And I was actually, I don't think I've looked it up, but I'm assuming that they're all the same characters coming back in the next book or not. I don't know, but I kind of hope so.
Well, let's have a look, shall we? Oh, Zelda, that's enough. Back on my watch. Hey, get on your bed. Come on, we can see your bed. It is empty and there should be a bottom in it. Count to 5, everyone. 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. I love her. I gave her a haircut today. You know how I do that? It's very brilliant. I can be smart sometimes. I've got a stainless steel dishwasher facade, so I smear peanut butter on it. And while she's like furiously licking it, she's still, I just go in with the scissors and I'm just like, whoosh, whoosh, and I'm just chopping away. And then I dust bust it all up and chuck the whole lot in the bin. It looks like there's a mini dog in the bin at the moment because I cut so much hair off of her. It's a dodgy haircut. Like, she looks like she's been on the streets for a little bit. Like, there's this clear sort of like cut marks that I'm just like, and it's not graded at all. It's just a chunk out. But whatever. I'm not paying $80 for a dog haircut in this economy. Are you kidding me? Okay, so we have, this is the next book in the series. It is also very heavy. We are looking at, don't spoil anything, 752 pages. 700. I will also do an impression of Robin right now. 752 pages. Iron Gold, I think. You tell me, Tim.
601.
I knew you had it. So it's an
I'm on page 541, so I have 60 pages to go.
Oh, okay. It's a slot. So that's another 150. Let's have a look. We have Darrow. We have Ephraim. We have. Do you want to know or not? Do you want to know? Baden, turn off your camera. Don't look at the stream. I won't say it out loud. Does anyone, if you don't want to know, don't look at the camera. I am pumped for that. So yes, there are different ones. We're all good, Baden. Ephraim. Darrow. Ephraim. The spoiler again. Lysander. Darrow. I think we got our answer. No, Lyria. She just popped up. Oh, all her chapters are stacked-ish. Also, while I was doing research for this one, I may have gotten a big spoiler, but I'm going to ask you the question in it. But for the... Oh. Tosaposa said dog mum's specialty bowl haircut. I've never been more called out. You're right. Okay, Frito said it, so don't look in the chat either, Vaden. Everyone keep commenting so that chat, the spoiler in the chat can go up. Don't look. Keep It Up says, we could have seen him from someone close like Severo or Mustang or Ronna's perspective. And that was, I needed my Darrow in there. I mean, yeah. Okay, so let's go through, because I spent all afternoon rushed getting part 2 happening in the stories. Part 2 is in this episode's part 2, so the second half of the book. Alrighty, let's go through Darrow's story first because it's miserable. 2 weeks into their flight, they realize that Ronna has stowed away. Ronna, of course, is his niece, even though his brother Kieran was like, please don't take her on this mission. She's my daughter, and she did it anyway. Darrow and Severo negotiate with Apollonius about Venus and House Wrath, forging a temporary alignment. Apollonius will retake his household from his treasonous brother Tharsis and rule over Venus, according to their treaty plan. Arriving at Venus, they see Tharsis. Severo cuts his ear off. They slaughter the golds that are with him. Apollonius' army is far less than they hoped. They storm the Ash Lord's citadel, also the huge dogfight battle in there. Calloway, pow. I just can't write that in phonetic form in the doc, but you get me. They storm the Ash Lord's citadel, only to discover he's been sick and dying for 3 years. Atalante has been leading the war against the Republic, tells Darrow... someone upstairs dropped something very heavy. Tells Darrow that Pax and Electra have been kidnapped, and that breaks him. They burn the Ash Lord alive. Darrow breaks the agreement with Apollonius, saying that he needs Apollonius' men more than he does. Severo and Darrow separate. So they separate. Darrow continuing to war. Severo going home. I just write my summary. 3 words. All for naught. All for naught. My question is, what do you think of Darrow in this version of him 10 years later? Vaden gifted a sub to Elf. That's very, very sweet. I know I'm very new, but I know back in 2015, Maude was trying TIE Fighter sounds. I found your channel from KP Dubs. We love that. Yeah, I used to do TIE Fighter sounds a lot. I lost my touch. It used to be better. You gotta get more of like, yeah. That's better. City says the only correct answer is he's kind of an asshole in Iron Gold. But that's very much on purpose on Pierce Brown. Yep. KPW says I'm doing my cult duties and I'm recruiting. Lovely. Oh yeah, it is on Pierce Brown's part. Yes. Severo wasn't happy with Darrow before the kidnapping. Yes. K Frito says still great. And that's what blind loyalty looks like, for anyone wondering. Anyone want to answer that? What do you think of Darrow 10 years later? Yes.
I find it...
Yes, I want to hear from... Is that you, Nick? Who is that? Oh, is Jay Bunrock? Yeah, I want to hear from you.
I just think one thing that you're starting to see with Darrow that he still holds on to is he treats his enemies better than his loved ones. Whether the Apollonius, Cassius, the Jackal... Romulus, remember, he seems to treat them better. And, you know, for Romulus, he gave up all those sons with the deal. So Romulus was able to kill all his sons. And then in the end, he stays with Apollonius and then gives up his wife and son to continue on.
You're not wrong. Damn. That sucks. Poor Virginia. I wonder where she's at. She's about to lose her sovereignty because she's going to be labeled unfit because her son got kidnapped. Like, oh my God. And you just know that all she wants to do is just, you know, hug her husband and just talk about how her day was bad. Gone. Stop biting your nails. It's not, it's the cuticle next to it. It's just a little bit of dry skin. And I reckon if I have 2 more bites, I can get it. 1, 2. I didn't, but that's okay. I allowed myself 2. And it's still there, the little fucker. Yeah, but that's okay. They will not best me. Keep it up says I'm wearing 5 bandages because I do that. Prove it. Your video's on. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my God, 1 ready to go. Are you biting your nails or are you biting your cuticles? Is that from stress?
Cuticles. I do it when I'm not thinking, like unconsciously, subconsciously. I'll look down and be like, oh man.
Yeah, you just get a little hungry. You go snack a little bit. No, I have to have them all neat. It is my only OCD thing. I can have thing like that's probably pissing someone off. See that tiny little gap between the book? I don't even notice. I have a little bit of skin hanging off it. You bet your butt I'm going so hard on that. It doesn't make sense. Make it make sense, Maude. That was my adjusting noise. The less sleep I get, the more I bite the cuticles. Ah, preach. Colleen says he does take women and children as hostages and then compares that to Pax's kidnapping. Yeah, he goes, I recognize the irony in it. And it's like, mate, this is the kind of war you're participating in. And he's like, does that mean nothing to him? Is he so... Better question. I'm going to add it to the doc. Is, in all caps, Darrow sociopathic?
I don't know about sociopathic, but like it definitely feels like he's regressed massively since the last book. Like he feels like he unlearned all these things that he tried to get better at in the previous books, you know, and decided to go on this crazy mission with no confirmation of the Ash Lord himself. The idea of like he had a traitor's miss, he didn't even find the traitor, he just kept going. Oh, whatever, I'll keep going. I have a traitor. I'm not going to stop that. I'm not going to figure that out. I'm just going to keep going on the mission, keep doubling down with mistakes. It just him constantly
Oh no, he's out of touch. I accidentally shoved the lipstick into my teeth. It's brand new. I was trying to eat it. Maude. Yeah, not my best moment. Sorry, you're exactly right. He's a shadow of himself. He's making mistakes. It's costing him everything. Sociopathic, though? He's literally stealing other people's children. But I don't know. I don't understand him. Alrighty, let's go into Lysander's story. With more energy. Oh, yes, Colleen.
Okay, I don't know if saying he's sociopathic would be correct because I believe that's actually a psychiatric diagnosis. But he is becoming more and more comfortable with that behavior. He's becoming more amoral, I guess.
Okay, I'm updating it. I like that feedback. Amoral. Is Darrow lacking empathy and becoming immoral? Or how is Darrow lacking empathy and becoming amoral affecting him? Great. I like it. It's in the doc, if you remember. We have a Google document that anyone can add to. And I think what we're trying to do is put the notes into articles on the website. So people that are running their own book club can see my notes and my questions and ask their book club similar questions. So yeah, I want that to be a top-notch question. So thank you. First cuticles, now lipsticks. Hungry Maude. I'm a little hungry, not gonna lie. I had chicken soup for lunch. That is not hearty. It's not a meal. City says, I agreed with Vaden. He's regressed. 10 years of trying to finish this so he could be that better father has brought him to the point where he's willing to do whatever he has to get the job done. Almost like he's a hell diver again. Oh, well said. Well said. I should start adding like quotes to the discussion in the doc. I like that. When you guys say brilliant things, we need to cherish it forever. Put a fan cast for the Ash Lord in the show chat. Who are you thinking, Jay Buntrock? I did picture someone, but I'm interested to know who you think it is or could be. Show chat. Well, there's Porky Pig. That's got to be a joke. Ah, Mr. Burns. Nice. My guy's an actor, but I don't know what his name is and I don't know what I've seen him in. But like, again, my brain will take snapshots of things and then I'll put it in and I can picture him and he's like, "Rah." Maybe it was a Game of Thrones thing. I don't know. But it's someone. Yes, a great resource for other book clubs. Exactly. Maude's book club is going to try and keep other book clubs exciting if they cover the same books, that is. Okay, Lysander's story. Actually, I put that in the wrong spot in the doc. Cassius is set to duel for his honor. They share memories together, still under the guise of being other people, brothers instead. Lysander wants to give up the safe. Cassius says no. They disagree fundamentally. Cassius thinking that he's taught him better, but Lysander still reeking of loon. They collapse as friends and allies. Cassius says to let him die. He duels. Now, is it Bellerophon? How have people been saying it? Bellerophon. How did they say it in the audiobook again? I can't remember. I think it's Bellerophon.
Bellerophon.
Bellerophon?
I think it's Bellerophon.
Bellerophon. Friend. Friend in the fridge. Oh, you guys didn't get that ad. It was so good. There's like, I think it's an ad for butter, and there's like a little man when you opened it, and he's like smoothing out the butter with a broom, and he waves, and the whole slogan is "Your friend in the fridge." It's really weird when you think about it. Advertising. How do they get paid so much money? Cassius duels Bellerophon after a lengthy battle kills him. Other House Ra members challenge Cassius also thanks to Dido's commands. Cassius kills Federa and then Bellegra. Diomedes refuses since Cassius was a guest, calls for it to stop since Cassius won. Seraphina is called up and is about to kill Cassius when Lysander reveals his true name. Cassius is taken away for surgery. The safe is brought to Lysander. They find the holo projector, proving Dido was correct in that Darrow had broken the Pax Ilium, called to destroy the Ganymede dockyards, and it was not Roque Fabii at all. Dido declares war on the Solar Republic. Lysander is informed that Cassius is dead. Not gonna lie, when I first listened to this book, I was furious. I was livid. Cassius, my boy, with the Superman curl and the dimpled chin, who went through so much in those 3 books. Not just about looks, that's shallow. But this man, he went through so much, and honor was always his number one. Dies off page? Swept under the rug? Doesn't have like a monumental death moment? Eric, then Tim.
Sorry, yeah, I disappeared for a bit. I got a call, but I have to say, I think I was personally right when I had a hope for Victra, when you're like, you don't actually see them die. And I'm like, it's so suspicious when they don't bring the body back. And I'm like, whenever you don't see like the body or whatever, or like when they're not just like chopped in 2 or something, and like, okay, something's up here, right? You know, because like I'm like, it's so I'm, especially by the end, you're like, wait, he never gets to see Cassius's body again. I'm like, I have to, like, in a sci-fi novel, that's like 4 to 1 they're still alive. You know?
Oh yeah, no, really good odds. Really good odds. I was still furious about that. I thought it was so unjust. There's so many injustices happening in this book already that, like, with that, I was like, and you're gonna smear his name and you're just gonna just throw him away like a piece of rubbish? It's like, no.
So I didn't even like Cassius until this book. And so I was annoyed though, until maybe the very end of the last book. I didn't like Cassius the whole time until like the very end of the last book. And I like the sort of like humbled Cassius, like the balanced Cassius, you know, like the like, because otherwise he is exactly, when he's an interesting character, right? I could see how you mentioned Pierce had intended to kill him. I could see why, because because Cassius was almost just like the male version of Antonia for a while. Antonia, I have another theory about Antonia, by the way. But where he's just my theory of Antonia is that she was supposed to be a full character, but he gets himself in this corner of Pierce where he's just caricature evil. So he just invents Victra as like the good part of Antonia as the real person. Like I think Antonia and Victra were supposed to be the same person. Because
put
there's
that
no
question.
character development for Antonia. She's
that question
really,
in the doc. I'll ask it.
Well, I
to
don't want to be
Pierce.
mean about it. I don't want to be mean. Like,
No. Just be like, hey, was this something that had happened, or were they always supposed to be two different? I think that there's a way you can word it.
Yeah, just as a minor thing, because they noted that like Antonia she stopped being an interesting person very early on.
Well, we're not going to say that to Pierce, are we?
Yeah, I know, but I know that's why I didn't say that. But it's just my fault. But then Victor becomes a real person, right? So I think what might have happened was he abandoned Antonia and then just started with what he was trying to do to Antonia. Anyways, so but yeah, for me, I like Cassius later. And actually, I didn't get to say this before, but I was one of the people who likes this book far more than some of the original. I think it's much more mature, deeper. I do empathize with people that see it as not being as much fun. Certainly I agree that the parts with the red where they're all being that's pretty awful. Like I agree that's hard to read. But it is a more mature this is my bias, right? Because I like that like him exploring like as like the political science and like the sort of like the actual like there's the last thing I'll say, and I think I said this already last time, is that I really think it's interesting in that, like, I think Pierce probably read a bunch of history about, like, hey, after you win the big civil war, like with America,
what
right?
happens?
Win this big thing, you don't just always just cleanly win, right? There's all this stuff afterwards, and sometimes you thought you won, but a lot of stuff just goes back, right? There's all this cleanup that is more effort than the actual revolution, right?
Yeah.
And I think all that stuff is really interesting for me personally. So I like that a lot. Even if like the stuff about Cassius dying off screen, but by the end I'm like, I think he's coming back. Like when Lysander never gets to see the body, I'm like, okay, he's definitely not dead. Like, I'm pretty confident.
When I first read that, I yelled at Pierce. I was on that phone straight away, being like, what is wrong with you? What the hell have you done to my boy? Like, Cassius is my G. What the hell? And he kind of just wrote, and I was like, that better not be the end of him. And he's like, I wouldn't do that. And I was like, because I'll come for you. Like, for this fictional character, our friendship is jeopardized by the treatment of a fictional character here. So that kind of like soothed me a little bit. And that's why, like, going into the second read, I was not bogged down and distraught by it. I was going to jokingly ask Pierce on the Q&A, who hurt you? I've been asking Pierce that all the time. He'll tell me one day. I just think he's very clever. He's a very brilliant person, isn't he? But I played Mafia with him over the weekend for Friendsgiving, and I was Mafia. I've been playing this game for like 8 years. I don't like saying this. I'm getting very good at this game, and that is not a compliment because it means that I'm getting very, very good at lying. And I kill Pierce as Mafia quite quickly. He was the sheriff, which means he has a very pivotal, important role, and he needs to be in the game. And here I am at night, get rid of Pierce, won the game with ease. And it got to the point where even the mayor who conducts the game, when I finally got killed, when I got taken out, the mayor goes, well, that's going to change how this game goes now. I was ruling that game. So I think I'm becoming a bad person is what I'm saying. Because I'm playing with actors, like there's actors there. They get paid to lie, to become someone else and take and embody other things. Here I am, a book reader, now manic liar. Very, very experienced liar.
Or you just know their weaknesses as an interviewer. Now that you're somewhat experienced with them,
It's getting really bad. Zelda's come back. Welcome, Zelda. The game that we played at Halloween, it was a very, very big game. Usually you should play it with about 20 people, and I think we were about 35, 40. It was a very big game, and it was going on too long. And I start observing, so I look at everyone, And then about 3 rounds in, I was like, okay, I can tell you at least who 5 of the Mafia are. And I was like, it's that person, it's that person, it's that person, it's that person, it's that person. And one at a time, we voted them out, and they were all Mafia. And it got to the point where someone's like, are you cheating? And I was like, no. I've played with everyone so many times, and I know exactly. Oh, I see a dog. Sorry, I got distracted halfway through the story because I see a dog. That's a cute dog, J-Bun, right? Is it a he or a she? I think it's a she. It looks like a girl. Why does it look like a girl?
It's a she. You met her a couple times. This is Bellatrix.
That's right, Bellatrix Lestrange. She loves you. Oh, we got another dog. There's another dog.
Oh, that's Bobo the coonhound.
We love dogs. Maude was reading their mind. No, it's just so easy because it's like I had an inkling because they hold it in their body. They hold the lie that they're like doing something they're not supposed to do a lot of the time. And then when you say, I think you're Mafia, they go, and then you're like, well, now I know you are. But if you say you Mafia and they're like, no, you're like, okay, you're not. But if you say you Mafia and they're like, you're like, okay, you are. It's that easy. Anyway, if anyone wants to play, we should play. I will smoke everyone. I'm not even fun. I like start mirroring the games now because it's just not fun to play with me anymore. Anyway, let's get back into this. I digressed big time. We're talking about Lysander. Cassius's ring moment was very Gladiator. Are you not entertained? He's cut, he's bleeding, he's got a chunk out of his back. That's a beautiful moment. And I think the way that Pierce wrote that was incredibly visceral and like the imaging was great and I could see it. Anyway, I got a crush on Cassius if you didn't know. This is where shit goes down, Tim.
What now?
This is where shit goes. This is where have you what's going on with Gaia at the moment in your book chapter?
I'm past that.
Great. Okay,
sort
cool.
of.
That's where I'm up to.
I'm at Ephraim dealing with the Duke. A little past that.
Ephraim. Okay, cool. Lysander's informed that Cassius is dead. Yes. Do you think Cassius is dead? How much do you feel? How do you feel about this main character who's gone through so much to die and be swept under the rug? We talked about that. Gaia calls for Lysander. She's not this weak and frail grandmother that she makes people believe. She's got a bit of a snifty plan and she's got an obsidian stained with her as well. They play on the piano. Lysander has a memory unlock. This is interesting. Maybe it's nothing, but this guy swears he's never played the piano before, and then all of a sudden he's remembering that he can play this entire prelude, this entire song. Have we messed with memories being taken away? Has he got stored memories? A little Jason Bourne moment. You're exactly right, Robin. There's just something a little bit. Why would they put that part in the book? If it wasn't like, has he been carved in some way? KP Dub says. That's what I'm wondering. Yes, Jimmy, what you got for me?
I was reading this article not too long ago where people that suffered traumatic brain injuries or something to that effect. One gentleman woke up from an injury like this and then he spoke fluent Korean and he was never taught a lesson at all.
Yep, I've heard stories like that.
So it could just be one of those medical anomalies.
There's also a thing
than memory erase, but that's just my.
There's other instances where if you've gone through a traumatic experience, your brain can literally be like, that's too much, and just compartmentalize that memory and push it down so that it doesn't exist.
I've certainly done that before.
Yeah. So that's another thing that could be happening. Or is it something in a sci-fi world where memories have been carved from him? There's something happening there. He did suffer trauma, says Colleen. He sure did. He was a kid when he got kidnapped and he saw people getting killed in front of him. This guy, I mean, he got taught. I was going to say, this guy who doesn't even have calluses on his hands, but that's not true. He did. We know that Darrow was tortured for several months in a prison. Maybe they did more to him than we thought. Lysander saw tons of trauma. Did Cassius program him? Oh, these are interesting thoughts. Anyway, Gaia proposes a plan to him and Pytha, the blue pilot, to free Romulus from prison, sending her obsidian with them. Lysander turns on him mid-rescue. They're caught by Dido, who hears his confession of the betrayal of Gaia. Lysander just doesn't want more Golds to die. During Romulus's trial, Romulus admits to negligence during the battle 10 years ago, but is then also accused of treason, which goes against Dido's plan of having a joint sovereignty. Romulus admits to knowing what Darrow did and keeping it a secret to avoid war. He's sentenced to death. That cultural act of death was so fascinating. It is negative 100 degrees Celsius, which is unlivable. It is so cold that his feet basically start turning black. The whole thing is you're sentenced to death. You have to go through the more freezing than freezing conditions, naked, up a hill to, I think it's like the obsidian stone of a dragon. And that's where his predecessors, his family, the remains are. And so if you can walk and reach that, it's basically like an honorable thing. But the way that Pierce writes about what happens to a body in those freezing conditions was so full on. Like his feet, the skin of his feet are getting frozen to the ice. So when he takes a step, it's ripping the skin off and his feet are bloodied. And of course, anything that's liquid immediately freezes as well. His hair becomes frozen. He said it's like a dead animal or something on the back of it. Was so full on. Anyway, what did everyone think of it? How does that make you think about the people of the Rim?
I guess it shows that, like, compared to other golds, like, they stand on ceremony even more, like how much honor, how much their traditions mean to them. Like they have this thing that's extremely important to them, and we see it throughout the conversations in the Rim, how different these golds are from other ones, and it really kind of hones that and gives you a great example of who they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said. There's a brutalness to their sort of like legacy and how they stand for honor. Lisa said it was very descriptive and I could have done without some of the detail. Welcome to Red Rising, Lisa. Jay Buntrock said, did anyone catch the symbolism with Romulus's mother being named Gaia? Gaia is the Greek earth goddess. Romulus is the story of a boy who was raised by wolves. Diomedes is another Greek character. I think they're all the Rim are sort of like in Greek mythology. Tim's got his hand up.
So Dido,
Gaia is also one of the moons of Jupiter.
And that's where we are. We're out in Jupiter. Eric, what were you saying?
Oh,
Dido.
It's interesting because it's Dido and Aeneas, but they use Dido and Romulus to kind of. She still is Dido from the myth, but they kind of merge the two myths, right? Because the original myth is Dido and Aeneas. It's the princess of Carthage, and Aeneas is like he's fleeing the Trojan War. Romulus is like one of the founders of Rome, like Romulus and Remus. So they kind of like merge the two myths together. Interesting. They refer to it, right? Because
there is a lot of mythology. I mean, like all the obsidians, they're your not Valkyrie, your Viking Norse mythology. There's a lot of mythology in here. I loved it in Red Rising where they would keep quoting like all the classics. I can't think of them right now, but you know, like Julius Caesar and all of the, who would they quote? Plato, all the philosophers from way back when.
Yeah, one interesting thing about Romulus though is that it is brutal because they're far away, but they're kind of they refer to them as like effectively a modification of Gaijin, right? Because they're kind of it's Japanese and South African.
Yeah.
And so they have Japanese culture. Like a lot of the aesthetics is like very Japanese.
It is, but they have South African accents. Yeah.
Right.
Welcome to the Rim. Yeah.
Exactly. But they're eating rice and then they have like screens. They have like so I'm imagining these mixed Japanese South African people, which both of whom have had at least somewhat very severe aspects of history and actual, Earth, right? But also, Japanese aesthetic is also very beautiful in many ways, right? And so I'm kind of imagining all their surroundings having this sort of sparse, cut down, almost like Japanese, accented like minimalism, right? Is how I'm imagining all their quarters, right?
Yes, wooden. It was always like these wooden panels, which is very much of the Japanese sort of culture, like those sliding paneled rooms, are very much like a wooden design. The scene, the moment in the book where there's the piano and guys there, I like pictured like a weeping, like a bonsai trees and like those sorts of, those sorts of gardens is what I pictured, but like, the inside gardens. It's like all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was beautiful, but.
Yeah, and he even uses terminologies from like Japanese architecture. Like there's a little alcove that has Gaia's weapon in it that she gives him. That's referred to by the Japanese term for it. I can't remember what it is.
Oh, yeah, Ashaka or something.
Yeah,
something like that.
So
their version of the
alcove.
What are they called? Razor. Yeah.
Oh, the razor. Yeah.
I've only got 10 more minutes, so we're going to get through the rest of Lysander's and Ephraim's story. I'm just going to get through it. Lysander offers to join Dido's army in war. Oh, sorry, Tim. Yep, great. Ephraim's story. Oh, we have to do Lyria's story as well. Shit, guys, we got to get through this. My bad. I mean, I started 15 minutes late. All right, Ephraim's story. The heist is successful, but he can't kill Lyria. He tries to pull a billet, not going to happen. Kavix wakes up, rips Dano apart. That red driver, getaway driver. Basically, yeah. Woo! Punches his head in, pretty much. Volga shoots Kavix several times, leaves him for dead. They take Lyria with them. Ephraim and Volga meet the Duke of Hands. I forgot an L in Volga. Leaves Lyria in the vehicle. Duke manhandles Pax. I found that to be super uncomfortable. The Duke, being the pink, he was always sort of like well-dressed, well-kept. But then, Pax is like a 10-year-old kid? And he like slaps him repeatedly, going, cry. You should cry. It was like child brutality. It was really, really difficult. Ephraim's story, exactly. That was... I don't know, I was hitting my limit around that part. But you've got Volga there just like shaking with rage. And again, Ephraim's just dead inside. Like he knows it's bad. He's seeing how these children are likely to be treated. And he's like, I just want to get the money and get out of here. But it's Volga who's like his emotional sort of soundboard, his anchor to keep him sane or to not lose him too far. Oh, wow. Thank you for the follow. 111 QQAAZZWW. I also like to face plant the keyboard when making a username. It's all in that area too. It's just the left side. Boom. There. Vaden says, yeah, always tough to read such blatant sadism. Yes. Robin says, I cried when they said where they found Volga. Pierce makes, what did you say? Pierce makes me cry again because of another Telemanus. Oh my God, I know. Oh yeah, Volga was a test tube baby. Pretty much. She was discarded for not having not being tall enough or optimal enough for that. Dave Bunt Rock just gifted a sub to 5x5 Vibe. Thank you, Jake Bunt Rock. Very sweet of you. I can see you. Hi, thank you. He said, yay. Maude, come on, get back on track. The kids are going to be taken to the queen of the syndicate. The question that I have for everyone, I got this spoiled for me. Kidding, joking, I'll confess. I looked it up. I wanted to know. I should not have looked it up. I will not say anything. I was naughty. Sorry about that. Who do we think the queen of the syndicate is? Is it the same woman that we saw in the initial chapters? Not Holiday. Who was the other one? What was the other? Harmony. Is it Harmony? Is it... That's who I thought it was. Harmony? Maud spoiling herself now. KP Sub says, don't tell. Any guesses, though? Who do we think the queen of the syndicate is? Did anyone care? What? Sprinkles, you think it's Virginia? No.
No. It better not be Victra. I'm going to be so annoyed if it's Victra. I don't think it is, though.
No, because Victra is threatening to kill... Lyria. She's trying to kill anyone who stands.
Yeah. So it would have to be a crazy double game. Also, she's pregnant. She's doing way too much stuff.
Yeah.
I could see it being Sephi.
Oh. because we
That
didn't.
was kind of my thought at one point too. So that's a good observation.
I feel like this. I mean, that would be such a jump for an Obsidian to go from just a war leader to being a criminal. I don't know.
Not really. She's already kind of the queen of the Obsidians.
The Syndicate's been around for a while. I will say that. That is some information that we do have. They were scared of the Sovereign because of her ruling with fear, but now they're getting more confident because they think Virginia's soft, so they're taking more grander actions. But the Syndicate.
Wait, what happened? What happened to the pink that was their friend? She didn't die, did she? The one who was with Mickey.
Theodore.
Yeah. Did she die?
No, she's in the book.
No, she's not.
Blink and you miss it. Lyria's about to get tortured with the scorpion.
No, that's the old pink. That's the old pink lady.
Which one's the new one?
I'm talking
He's
about the
thinking
young
of Harmony.
Not Harmony.
She's
The
a red
one with wings.
Oh, did she die?
Oh yeah.
Did she die in the second or third book? I don't think she dies.
Trixie? No, Evie.
Evie.
What happened to Evie?
Someone Google it. What happened to Evie? Let's find out together. Anyway, Queen of the Syndicate. What's going on there? She's started some shit that I think we're going to learn a lot more about. Also, I won't spoil it. All I'm going to say is hold on to your butts for that one. Oh, City says, Evie, she hasn't died. She just dropped off the face of the earth. Find out next time on Dark Age.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, there you go. Lyria escaped the vehicle, is running free, manages to escape even further. Ephraim denies bringing her here, but then Gorgo brings out a severely beaten Syrah, who betrayed Ephraim, spilling all in a bid to get more money. She's thrown off a building. Oh, we're dealing with the mafia here. Dangerous. Don't snitch. That's what we learned from that. Anyway, Ephraim gets his millions of credits. The Duke offers him a job with the Syndicate. He's out of here, tries to fly away with Wulfgar. She doesn't show. Holidays on the ship instead with Lyria. Ephraim's lost all care. He's just opting out. He doesn't even want to live anymore. After some negotiating, though, he tells him about the Duke of Hands and the plans with the kids. Volga's been imprisoned, so for her pardon, he agrees to rescue the kids back. So this is the thing about Ephraim. He doesn't care about him at all, but he does care about Wulfgar because Volga's been nothing but loyal to him. Mafia? Maude's Mafia. No, they mace windowed her. That's good. That's good. My favorite part is that you actually cackled at that one. I saw you just, yeah, like, that was good. That was good. Ephraim meets with the Duke again. He's been taken to a remote destination. He gets the Duke alone, attacks him, discovers that help is 2 hours away. He finds the kids in a dank cell within the vault. The children's arm themselves with nearby razors. The Duke's men are waiting. They manage to escape. Ephraim gets badly injured. On the ship that that they're getting rescued on, I guess, he's talking to Mustang. He says he wants Wulfgar to be freed. The Syndicate Queen owns the escape vessel, however, and takes control of it. So Ephraim uses grenades to bomb a part of the ship, and it goes down. I think that's what Tim's reading at the moment. You've read past that? Good. Oh, he's up to the Darrow chapter. Oh, mate. We spoiled this for you already. My bad.
I already told you I don't care.
Okay. Lyria's story. She's at Quicksilver's birthday banquet. Overhears a conversation between Virginia, Victor, and Quicksilver. Victor's like, hell, I'll kill Dancer. She's going to go on there. You know that for sure, between the Vox Populi and Victor. Lyria meets Pax, is mad at his lack of understanding. She travels back with Cavex, Pax, and Electra, and the pendant that Philippe gave her activates, paralyzing everyone crashing the ship. We learn about how she escapes from the kidnapping and finds the police at a checkpoint where Holiday's brought in to help with the questioning. Lyria helps with everything that she knows, Virginia personally apologizing to her for all that's happened. They identify that Philippe is actually Ephraim. Lyria is able to identify the Duke's cane, identifying, I said that 3 times, that he works for the Syndicate. So that's kind of everything there. Wait, no, it's not. I forgot about the last chapter. Tim, don't listen. Victra has sent a Brown to assassinate Lyria for being a traitor. There you go. Because before Colin goes, oh, I'm glad that she survived.
Oh, I just read that part.
Okay, good. Great. Lyria starts to see Virginia as maybe a not super terrible then. Yes, she realizes that while Virginia is trying to sort out the rescue of her son, she's also got about 700 billion other children to look after, as she aptly said. I was like, that's right. She's got to look after everyone. Hello, Moonrise. Lovely to have you here. Yay. So we got all those different portions. Who wants to continue reading the series? Everyone's going to keep reading? We're all going to keep reading. Just not this year.
No.
Give it a little bit of time. We'll do a refresher, capture people up on what happened, and then we can have a very...
Previously on Red Rising.
Yes. Next to you right away, please. Colleen, maybe not right away, though. Toast Poster says, that was a nice speed run recap. City says, read it! Do it! And now we roll into Maude's live reading of Dark Age. For Lily. Oh. Awkward. I know who that is. The dramatis, other characters. The Sovereign. The Sovereign. Citizens of the Solar Republic, this is your Sovereign. I stare half-blind into a firing squad of fly-eyed cameras. Out the viewport behind my stage, battle stations and ships of war float beyond the upper atmosphere of Luna. 8 billion eyes watch me. On Friday evening last, the third day of the Mensis Martius, I received a brief indicating that a large-scale society military operation was underway in the orbit of Mercury, the largest in materiel and manpower since the Battle of Mars 5 long years ago. We are responsible for this crisis, lured by the false promises of an enemy... No, that's too long of a word. Plenipotentiary. What's a plenipotentiary? I've never seen that word in my life.
A plenipotentiary is somebody who's vested a plenipotentiary is someone who's vested with the full powers and authority of the people they represent.
We have a lawyer. We have a lawyer in the chat, everyone.
No,
it sounds like a made-up word.
It's a concept in international diplomacy. So plenipotentiary means that like the person has the full powers that represent their country.
You just crushed that moment on the internet just now. No notes.
No.
You
my heart. I
crushed it.
I swear by the pain of my tooth.
No, that was amazing. I'm blown away. We allowed our resolve to weaken. We allowed ourselves to believe in the better virtues of our enemy, and that peace was possible with tyrants. That lie, seductive though it was, has been exposed as a cruel machination of StarCraft designed, perpetrated, and executed by the newly appointed dictator of the society remnant, Atalantia our Grimace, daughter of the Ash Lord. Under her spell, we compromised with the agents of tyranny. We turned on our greatest general, the sword who broke the chains of bondage and demanded he accept a peace he knew to be a lie. When he did not, we cried traitor, tyrant, warmonger. In fear of him, we recalled the home guard elements of the White Fleet from Mercury back to Luna. We left Imperiata Aquarii at half strength, exposed, vulnerable. Now her fleet, the fleet which freed all our homes, floats in ruins. 200 of your ships of war destroyed. Thousands of your sailors killed. Millions of your brothers and sisters marooned upon a hostile sphere. Quadrillions of your wealth squandered. Not by virtue of enemy arms, but by the squabbling of your Senate. I've heard it said in these last months in the halls of the new forum, on the streets of Hyperion, on the news channels across our republic. Come on, Violets. They're the news readers. They have a point in this world. Orion Shay Aquarii. Yeah, I did not nail that. That's fine. Thank you, City, for checking me as I read live on a page for the first time. Panicking. That we should abandon these sons and daughters of liberty, these free legions. I've heard them called in public without shame the lost legions. Written off by you despite the courage they have summoned, the endurance they have shown, the horrors they have suffered for you. Written off because we fear to part with our ships. We fear to part with our ships. We'll invite invasion of our homeworlds because we fear to once again see society iron over our skies, because we fear to risk comforts and freedoms the men and women of the free legions purchased for us with their blood. She's doing a full-on speech here. I've only got half a page to go and I will see it through. I will tell you what I fear. I fear time has diluted our dream. I fear that in our comfort we believe liberty to be self-fulfilling. I lean forward. I fear that the meekness of our resolve, the bickering and backbiting on which we have so decadently gluttoned ourselves, will rob us of the unity of will that moved the world forward to a fairer place, where respect for justice and freedom has found a foothold for the first time in a millennium. I fear that in this disunity we will sink back into the hideous epoch? E-P-O-C, epoch?
I think it's epoch, but I'm not
Epoch. I bet Australia says epoch. No, I have no idea. From which we escaped, and that the new dark age will be crueler, more sinister, and more protracted than the malice which we have awoken in our enemies. I call upon you, the people of the Republic, to stand united, to beseech your senators to reject fear, to reject this torpor of self-interest. Torpor. Great word. To not quiver in primal trepidation at the thought of invasion, to not let your senators hoard your wealth for themselves, or hide behind your ships of war, but to summon the more wrathful angels of their spirits and send forth the might of the Republic to scourge the engines of tyranny and oppression from the Mercurian sky and rescue our free legions. At that moment, 384,000 kilometers from my heart, in orbit 1,000 kilometers above the wayward continent of South Pacifica, projectiles skinned with Sun Industries stealth polymer race into the void at 320,000 kilometers per hour toward Mercury, ferrying not death but supplies, radiation medicine, machines of war, and, if my husband is alive, a message of hope. You have not been abandoned. I will come for you. Until then, endure, my love. Endure. Fuck. We are reading this book, aren't we?
So is Virginia a point of view character in Dark Ages? Is that what you're saying?
Sorry, Vaden. Yes.
Yay.
But it's not a spoiler because we read it all together, so you found out. You found out already. So there you go. K Frida says, let's make this the longest stream ever, 86 hours later. Yeah, I just keep reading the book. And that is the end of Dark Age. KP Dub says, like, no less than 23 people wrote that speech because 22 is not enough.
22 is always enough.
There it is. There it is. This is a perfect example of why I do not do audio. I have not retained a single word. Silver Stage says that's how we pronounce it here, Maude. Silver, you haven't said a damn word this whole stream and you only come on to out me? Where in Australia are you from? Anyway. Regards, Darren says there's no way he gets that message. Oh, Dark Age. Vaden says, I'm glad to know since Virginia is one of my favorite characters. City says, my advice, keep a dictionary nearby when you read Mustang's chapters. Well, that's one of the things that Pierce said, that Mustang's the smartest character. And in fact, Mustang's the hardest character to write because she's smarter than he is. And that always sticks with me. KBW says, even in your voice, Maude, I just tuned it out. I retained Epoch. What was it again? I've already forgotten.
Epoch. It's like
Epoch.
Same as basically an era.
Who needs a dictionary nearby when we have an Eric? Hey? Hey?
I was gonna say you at least have to have retained plenipotentiary because it's a wonderfully nerdy word.
That was the second part of J. Buntrock's comment saying, and planipotentitemum.
Plenty. So it's a mix between plenary, which is general, like all, like, plenary, like everybody, and potence, right, which is power, right? So that's how you know.
That's so
right?
smart.
So that's how I think I got the definition right.
You did. I believe it. You said it with confidence. If we learnt nothing this stream, we've definitely walked away with. Even if you don't know, just say it with confidence. Unless you're that bartender in Sydney. I wonder what he's doing 10 years later. I hope he's like an English teacher or something. That would make me feel less bad.
But I missed that. I think I was away for that story. What was the short version of?
Oh, I used a word that was incorrect, but I said it with confidence, and he called me out. This guy who I didn't think was very smart, he totally called me out on it, and it was just like, don't judge a book by its cover. Plenary is a meeting of people. Eon, the largest unit of time. Era, the unit of time shorter than eon, but longer than a period. Period, a unit of time shorter than an era, but longer than epoch.
Oh, there we're talking about like technical geological time with like dinosaurs and like planets and so on.
You know what they say, never be the smartest person in the room. So Eric, I don't know what you're gonna do after this, but me, I'm in good company. Thank you. Oh, KPW just Googled. Clever Girl says it's my field. What is your field?
Geology. Is it geology? Archaeology.
Yeah, I kind of specialized in geology, but I worked at a museum preparing fossils and went on some digs, and so yeah, that paleontology is kind of my thing. I'm not an expert exactly, but I've had some experience with it.
Colleen in the house. You always say things that never cease to amaze me. Whoa. Did we do two at once? Oh, what does your shirt say? Oh, wrong button. There you go.
I had to react to the music. I'm wearing a Seether shirt.
Is that from that band?
No, just metal.
Colleen, you're a metalhead?
Yeah. Among other things, but yeah.
Colleen's a metalhead. That's amazing. That's so good. Okay, everyone, that's our stream. I'm going to hang out with the Members Plus after this for a little bit because I've missed them. We haven't had a chat for a bit. Silver moved from Stamford to Rainbow Beach recently. That's in Queensland, if I'm not mistaken. Rainbow Beach. I'm starting to forget because I haven't lived in Brisbane since I was 19. Toastboast says, thanks for the stream. Good night, everyone. Thanks, everyone. Your homework, read the entire book 3 of Dungeon Crawler Carl. If you already have, you're going to enjoy our stream. I believe it's going to be on Wednesday, the 13th. And then stick around for the 14th because we've got a Q&A with Jeff Hayes, who is the incredible audio narrator of the series, which is the best out of any book I've ever listened to. So that'll be a lot of fun. Tate the Aussie says, thanks, gang. Great to hang out. Tate, you read any of the books yet? I just love that you show up even if you haven't. That's so great. Jay Bunt Rock says, farewell, Dominus. Clever Girl says, thank you, everyone, for the insights. Isn't book 3 next week? No. We're going to do, because it's a whole book, we're going to do book 3 the first half of the month, and then after Christmas, before New Year's, I think we'll check in again. So if anyone's going away, that could be a little difficult, but I'm aiming around the 28th. I get back to LA on the 27th. K Frito, did you just blast through those books? I still haven't read the books. Tate, I think you're going to like them. if you want to try reading. A big thing we're going to be doing for Maude's Book Club as well is we're going to be setting reading goals for 2024. So I want to hear from every single person what your goal is going to be for 2024. At the moment, all the Maude's Book Club staff are going to be setting theirs, and we're going to be doing fun little things about it. You're going to be out of town. Lisa, what are you up to at the moment? Your goal was 200.
Right now I'm at 177.
Are you going to read 23 books in 5 weeks?
I mean, if I read really short books, maybe.
I'm the same a little bit. These Akatar books, the dramatized, I can do part 1 and part 2 because they're a whole book, apparently.
Do the entire Curious George collection, Lisa. I believe in you.
Oh, that's great. Peter Rabbit. Ding, done. Next. Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate it. Dungeon Crawler Carl Book 3. You've got 2 weeks to read it. Take the Aussies halfway through American Gods. I did that book for Nerdist Book Club. Last year, I read Lemony Snicket's just to get my numbers up. Read 23 Goosebump books. Not bad. Not bad. We actually probably should do an article. Like, what are like the best books that are like under 4 hours to listen or to read? Just like pew, pew, pew. Thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me run over a little bit. Thanks for letting me have that 15 minutes to get my notes in order. Drop on by to Maude's Book Club. Merch, if you do want to get a book club, a relative or friend, something for Christmas, if you order it, I think, what is it, by the 5th, Tass? You got a week to order it so it will arrive in time? 17th? I don't know. 12th? 10th. I was just going to keep saying numbers until you corrected me. You got till the 10th to order it so it arrives in time. We've got really great things like mugs, wine cups and tumblers, water bottles. I mean, you guys can't see it, but Ken's basically showing the mug. And I know you got the water bottle there. We've got hoodies. We've got caps. Lisa's in the Maude's Book Club rainbow shirt, which is my favorite design that we have. There's a bunch of really cool things. They don't even have Maude's Book Club on it, but they're just for the book lover. And, you know, wine and coffee mugs. Are you kidding me? Need I say more? So enjoy that. And certain Patreon tiers get a discount. You're exactly right. You can get up to 20% off for that. And keep it up. So we've got big mugs too. Big mugs are back. We got muscle tees. We got a bunch of things. If you want to look at them, we've been posting a bunch of photos. And check out maudesbookclub.com/store to find that. I like big mugs and I cannot lie. KB Dubs, I've seen you lie. He's cackling. Except about the bandages. You had 5. I thought that for sure that was an exaggeration, and it was not. Anyway, I keep talking. Let's raid someone. We haven't done that for a hot minute. I already want to turn my lights out. Boom. Aha. After hours. Who's online? Who do we raid? It's Tuesday night. People stream on a Tuesday night. That's cool. Anyone? After show lighting. I know. It's just like for 2 hours, you know? Like it's a lot happening in my head.
Our Boney is on.
He is. Let's go say hi, shall we? What's he playing? Placid Plastic Duck. I mean, I hold no responsibility for what he seems to be streaming. But if you are a sub on Maude's Book Club, you'll see that we've got 2 new book emotes that spell out MBC. So you can actually, every time I say drop some books, we've got those books to drop. Also, yes, thank you, K. Frito. Pierce is coming on Thursday, 5 till 6 p.m. PT. If you're a member, get your question in for Pierce. I will ask him directly and get those answers for you. But please stop on by 5 till 6. Pierce, we are talking all things iron gold for that one. Appreciate it. KP Dubs CMB. Of course you did. Of course you did.